Good morning. We are on our live Facebook for the week. Every Tuesday we are doing a live feed for you guys on our platforms. You guys value letting you get an insight on what we do and what we're teaching here. If I can get to my correct page. And we're going over the transmutation and the mystery of sexual energy. And it's really a mystery, the transmutation of sex energy. And really, it's something that's really not talked about because it's kind of odd because we really don't talk about it. And we're discussing it because it's a part of life, and as well it's a part of who we are and what we do as far as the energy that we use. And when we use it at its lowest levels, we use it to procreate. When we use it at its higher qualities and more creative properties, we create a different type of life, a creative life. We create ideas, we manifest ideas, we imagine things, imagine tools. We imagine anything and everything that's possible when we use that same energy, but at a higher rate. That higher rate is going to be the transferring of information. And that's where intuition comes in. The meaning of the word transmute is a simple language, the changing or transforming of one element, a form of energy, into another. The emotion of sex brings into being a state of mind. Because of ignorance on the subject, this state of mind is generally associated with the physical, and because of improper influences to which most people have been subjected in acquiring knowledge of sex, things essentially physical have highly based the mind. The emotion of sex has back of it the possibility of three constructive potentialities. They are perpetuation of mankind, the maintenance of health as a therapeutic agency, it has no equal, the transformation of mediocrity into genius through transmutation. And as we get to the second and the third part, we're talking about creativity as its finest. This is where genius becomes alive. The genius becomes alive in an individual because he is thinking beyond what he can see, hear, taste, touch, smell, beyond the senses of what is normal, of what is already here, and is beyond the senses. Sex transmutation is simple and easily explained. It means the switching of the mind from thoughts of physical expression to thoughts of some other nature. Sex desire is the most powerful of human desires. When driven by this desire, men develop keenness of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and creative ability unknown to them at other times. A creative ability unknown to them at other times. When somebody has a burning desire for something beyond the physical transmutation of it, everything begins to change. Everything begins to change. Imagination, courage, willpower, persistence. A creative ability unknown to them at other times. So strong and impelling is this desire. At its lower states, this desire is sexual. At other states, it really is untangible. It's untangible. And when it becomes tangible is because you've got an idea. When harnessed and redirected along other lines, this motivating force maintains all of its attributes of keenness of imagination, courage, etc., which may be used as powerful creative forces in literature, art, or in any other profession or calling, including, of course, the accumulation of riches. The transmutation of sex energy calls for the exercise of willpower, to be sure. But the reward is worth the effort. The desire for sexual expression is inborn and natural. The desire cannot and should not be submerged or eliminated, but it should be given an outlet through forms of expression, which enrich the body, mind, and spirit of man. If not given this form of outlet through transmutation, it will seek other outlets thoroughly through physical channels, physical expressions. A river may be dammed and its water controlled for a time, but eventually it will force an outlet. The same is true of the emotion of sex. It may be submerged and controlled for a time, but its very nature causes it to be ever-seeking means of expression. If not released into the creative ability, creative effort, its outlet will be much less. This is where we go from the mundane to the creative state of being, where we may lift ourselves up to the status of genius. Scientific research has disclosed the significant facts. The men of greatest achievements are men with highly developed sex natures, men who have learned the art of sex transmutation, or women. The men or women who have accumulated great fortunes and achieved outstanding recognition in literature, art, industry, architecture, and professions were motivated by the influence of this energy. Each and every one of them. The transmutation of a desire, an urge to want to be expressed. Why is it so important to understand this emotion as an irresistible force against which there can be no other opposition, as an immobile body? Because we all have it, and it's a part of our nature. We all use it. It's a part of our nature. But very misunderstood. And so many times, we do not apply it to its highest abilities. And majority of the time, people suppress it, reject it. They reject their genius, they reject their gifts to life because they don't believe it's possible. Desire is the unexpressed possibility expressing itself through your actions. How many times have you suppressed the desire for something greater, something grand, something beyond what you know how to do? And you suppress it. Why would somebody suppress their desire for more? Why would somebody control the desire to have more? When does the desire stop aspiring, stretching? When did your desire stop telling you you could achieve more? when we really start to look at what drives anyone beyond what they know how to do, it's a clear understanding that the minute a man or a woman stop desiring more, it's because they have reached what they think is possible for them. When they have gone beyond what they know how to do. In many respects to life, this is where the individual begins to coast, begins to conform, and simply stops imagining. Isn't this amazing? How far did you get in life? For some of you that are younger and have not gone into life to create your own life, and you will discover your self-image as others have already discovered them. They didn't understand that that's what they were meeting. Everyone at some point will reach the end of what they know. They get to the end of their self-image. And so many try, and they try and stretch, and they try and stretch. They get to the end of what they know, and they try in so many different directions, and they cannot anymore. But they didn't know that that's what they were doing. They are going to the extent of their self-image. And when we get there, the average individual conforms. A little bit more than average will try a little bit more here and there in different ways. But they as well conform. They give up eventually. Stop stretching. Stop imagining. Really think about it. They stop imagining. They stop trying. And they begin to fill their days with what else? Entertainment. Their mind, they didn't know this is what was happening. Their soul wants more. Their soul says we are meant for so much more. There's a purpose why I'm here. There's something that I'm here for. But their self-image says, I don't know how. And the average individual and the above average individual eventually conform, and they begin to go into entertainment, entertaining their own mind with something else. Because they didn't know that they were supposed to continue to set goals, continue to rewrite themselves. They begin to entertainment, hobbies. Entertain themselves because their mind is seeking an expression more and more and more, and this is natural. This is the natural state of being of every individual, is to desire to go beyond and to continue to grow. But they didn't know that this is what this outlet is trying to do, is get them to keep stretching. The desire is wanting you to discover more about yourself. But the average individual does not understand this. And the above average use different outlets. And we come into entertainment, hobbies. Because the stimuli is looking for expression, which is your soul. Your soul was designed to evolve. evolution, to keep evolving itself. And that desire, so that it is satisfied, will be subjected to entertainment, to hobbies. And they'll switch from one thing to another, one desire to the next desire, one desire to the next desire, never understanding that was seeking fulfillment was changing the belief systems that you're using, building your self-image, changing your self-image, rewriting the self-image, setting bigger goals, developing yourself, changing the ideas that are holding you back. The human mind responds to stimuli through which it may be keyed up to high rates of vibration, known as enthusiasm, creative imagination, intense desire, etc. The stimuli to which the mind responds most freely are the desire for sexual expression, love, a burning desire for fame, power, financial gain, money, music, friendship between each other, those of the same sex, opposite sex, a mastermind alliance based upon the harmony of two other people who ally themselves for the spiritual or temporal advancement of a project's advancement of goals, visions, could be businesses, companies. Autosuggestion, fear, drugs, alcohol. It's looking for an outlet. The desire for sex expression comes at the hand of the list of stimuli, which most effectively steps up the vibration of the mind and start the wheels of the physical action in all individuals. 8 of these stimuli are natural and constructive. 2 are destructive. The list here presented for the purpose of enabling you to make comparative study of the major sources of mind stimulation. From the study, it will be readily seen that the emotion of sex is by great odds the most intense and powerful of all stimuli of man. This comparison is necessary as a foundation for the proof of the statement that transmutation of sex energy may lift one to the status of a genius. Let us find out what constitutes a genius. Many have said that a genius is a man who wears long hair, eats queer food, lives alone, and serves as a target for the joke makers. A better definition of a genius is a man who has discovered how to increase the vibration of thought to the point where he can freely communicate with sources of knowledge not available through the ordinary rate of vibrational thought. A better definition of a genius is a man who has discovered how to increase the vibrations of thought to the point where he can freely communicate with sources of knowledge not available through the ordinary rate of vibration of thought. I like this definition because this shows why there's some individuals that get better ideas than others. And in fact, it describes why very few get bigger ideas than majority do. They had more desire. Let's go back to what I said earlier. When is it that you will stop desiring more than what you know? The average individual stops growing, stops achieving, stops setting goals the minute they go beyond their self-image. Because it was beyond what that self-image knows. It's beyond the beliefs of what that self-image has. When will you stop desiring more than what you know? The day you get to the extent of what your beliefs are about you. Now, for some of you, the chances are you've already met this. And you didn't know what stopped you. It was when you found out unconsciously that you had gone beyond what you know. And that's whenever the average individual stops. And they stop thinking. They just simply stop imagining. Really think about what I'm saying. Because this is what's holding you back. And it's not one person. This is happening all over the world, every second. Somebody's desire stops. Isn't that amazing? Every few seconds, somebody's desire stops all around the world. They stop fantasizing. They start wishing and hoping. And then before long, they just start conforming. It's a process. Where are you at in the process? Where are you at on the process of giving up? You're going to say, I didn't give up. Then why didn't you keep imagining? Then why didn't you keep learning? You're going to say, I didn't give up on life. Then why did you stop? What limited your imagination? What stopped you from taking more advancement? What stopped you from reading, researching, and studying to change yourself? What stopped you from personal development? That's what that is. You started personal development since a child. It was more forced upon. They put you in school. What are they doing? They are personally developing you, but they made it contractable. Everybody's got to go to school. When did you stop developing yourself? When did you stop changing yourself? Now you're beginning to understand why you're stuck and what happened. It's all psychological. Psyche is mind. Mind is soul. Your soul desires more. The thoughts you use have slowed you down. What is a genius? A man who has discovered how to increase the vibrations of thought. What is genius? A man or woman that has discovered how to increase the vibration of thought to the point where he can freely communicate with sources of knowledge not available to the ordinary innate rate of vibrational thought. This individual understands this, he will start to become guided. The person who thinks will want to ask some questions concerning this definition of genius. The person who thinks will want to ask some questions concerning this definition of genius. Thinking means imagining. So then the person that continues to imagine would like to have and would like to ask more questions concerning the definition of genius. The person who does not want to ask more questions of what this book is saying and what the definition of genius that it is saying will not want to know. They will not want to know. If you're listening to this, you may want to turn this off. You may not want to know any more about it. And this is completely normal. It is completely normal to turn this off and to not want to know anymore. That's what the majority do. I'll just turn it off. I don't need to hear this. I don't need to take this. No, you don't. Conform. You don't need to take this. Turn it off. Conform. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't conform. I couldn't stay where I was at. There was something deep inside of me that knew it was meant for more. And there was no way I was going to turn off my light. Turning off my light was like giving up on my soul. I couldn't turn it off and walk away. I couldn't sit there and just watch the tube, watch TV and watch movies every day and just turn it on. I knew that there was more. I knew that we were meant for more. I always had a hard time conforming. I could never conform. I knew I was never meant to be that, to do that. So I started to pick up books and research what the mind was, how the mind worked, how I worked, why we're here, why we see people coming and going all the time. I couldn't conform. I needed to know my purpose. I needed to define my purpose. Genius is something that we were all birthed with. It is our birthright. I couldn't just turn off my light. The first question will be, how may one communicate with sources of knowledge which are not available through the ordinary rate of vibration? How many? How many will really ask? How may one communicate with sources of knowledge which are not available through the ordinary rate of vibration? This is what I did. How many will really try to understand the human soul, human consciousness? How many will really research God? Very few really want to know. Spirit, creation. How many will really want to know? Very few. Where does genius come from? Where does creativity originate? It is at the back of everything, desire. It's the pretense to all creation was desire. We keep having more bodies so that we can have another chance. Imagine that. We keep having more bodies so that man may have another chance. You, man, may have another chance, as a matter of fact. Who is a hue in man? A lot of people don't research. They don't even know what the hue in man means. So that their soul may have another try at it. We keep reproducing so that the souls may have another try at it. Interesting. They become more aware of himself and learn how to go beyond himself. They go beyond what conditions and circumstances may show us. And every now and then you find a hue that doesn't think the way man thinks. You find a human that is going beyond conditions and circumstances, and he desires so much more. Interesting. And then you'll find so many that don't want to know. They want to conform, which is all fine. But that's all you want to be. And that's all fine if that's all you want to be. I couldn't do it. I could not stop. The person who thinks will want to ask some questions concerning the definition of genius. This first question will be, how may one communicate with sources of knowledge which are not available through the ordinary rate of vibration of thought? Now here we come. The next question will be, are there known sources of knowledge which are available only to geniuses, to the genii? If so, what are these sources? And exactly how may they be reached? We shall offer proof of the soundness of some of the more important statements made in this book, or at least we shall offer evidence through which you may secure your own proof through experimentation. And in doing so, we shall answer both of these questions. Genius is developed. Genius is developed through the sixth sense. That's called intuition. That is feedback. You actually get feedback when your desire is so huge that you go beyond what you know, and then you start to broadcast and receive information back from the ether. Now, what I am saying is not something that we don't already know about, but very few really have heard it, studied about it, or wanted to know about it. The sixth sense is the creative imagination. The sixth sense is creative imagination. It is a transmutation of energy. Your birthright has decided to take the leap. Your birthright, which is the desire to live life, live in intelligence, fulfilling experiences. Your birthright has become aware. What is my birthright? And what is he talking about, becoming aware? My birthright has become aware that I am so much more. My soul is desiring to go beyond the limitations of the beliefs of the environment. My life started to change when my soul became aware that I was so much more than what I was experiencing. My essence, the essential part of me became aware that anything was possible. When I became aware that anything was possible, I began to stretch and think and go beyond. Did you know that the average and the majority of people reason away the gift? The average individual and majority of people reason away the gift of their success. Imagination. What is the thing that takes someone beyond and their character is as a genius? Imagination. Creative imagination is the sixth sense. The faculty of creative imagination is one which the majority of people never use. The majority of people never use during an entire lifetime. And if used at all, it usually happens by mere accident. A relatively small number of people use with deliberation and purpose. With deliberation and purpose, The faculty of creative imagination, those who use the faculty voluntarily with understanding its functions are the genius, the genii. The faculty of creative imagination is the direct link. The faculty of the creative imagination is the direct link between infinite mind of man and infinite intelligence. The infinite mind of man and infinite intelligence. It's the direct link. Isn't that amazing? And here, everybody stops imagining and they start entertaining. Why do they have to entertain themselves? Why must we make things for people to be entertained? Entertainment means entering into your mind and stimulating it from an outside source. Why? Because your mind needs images. We think in images. When you're not willing to entertain yourself with your own imagination because you don't believe you can do anymore, the mind finds a way to entertain itself. You look for something outside of yourself to enter into your mind so that it can use ideas that are imagined by someone else to enter to your mind so that you're stimulated. You're stimulated. A lot of people didn't know that. They didn't understand it. That's why very few people have focus now. Their focus is maybe 2 seconds, 4 seconds, and they got to switch to another thing, and they got to switch to another thing, and they got to switch to another thing. Go look at the apps. They flick and they flick and they flick and they work with you so that you just keep flicking every 2 seconds. And before long, your mind is being trained to have 2 seconds of focus. You got to go to the next thing. You got to go to the next thing. You got to go to the next thing. Why? So that you stay stimulated from something outside of you. And then people wonder why they're being controlled. They're giving away their birthright. And it was to use their own focus, their own will, with their own creative imagination, and to hold it with their will so that they can receive information feedback from universal intelligence to get the ideas to take them beyond what they know how to do. But the average individual does not know this. And the majority of people will walk around with their head down. They're not working towards a vision of their own. They're working with the vision in a mechanical device, things outside of them. And before long, they're subdued. Where are you at? Where are you at today? How much are you aware of yourself? Aware enough to change yourself? When did you stop dreaming? When did you stop desiring? When have you forgotten the gift? Einstein said we live in a world, in a society, where man has forgotten the gift. The gift was your birthright. And we very quickly gave it away. There's one way to rebuild this ability. There's only one. And that's a controlled imagination. Not by outside forces, but by yourself. There's one way to get your power back. That takes discipline. That takes courage. That takes research, understanding. That takes effort. But you can redesign and rewrite your life. And it happens one step at a time, one day at a time. Everyone here has the opportunity to change their life. Everybody has always had that opportunity. But again, are you aware? Take a look at what we're doing. Every week we're teaching this information to help you become more aware of your birthright, help you become more aware of who you are. You are not just a body. You are not meant to just simply exist. You were meant for more. We were all meant for more. We're teaching these classes every day because it's through repetition that you grow. It's through the repetition of the ideas and the information that you change. When you take action. Only when you take action. A lot of you say, oh, no, I know that. I've heard of that. I know that. No, you don't know it. You don't know it if you can't express it. You don't know it. You've heard about it. You've seen it as a distance, and you've heard it at a distance. If you cannot express the information, you don't know it. Because it never made it past for the observation of facts at a distance, to talk about it, but never to experience it. And that you only get whenever you're expressing ideas towards definite ends, definite goals. I wish everyone the very best, but be willing to change. Send us a message. You want to find out more of this? You want to change your life? Send us a message. You can get started today. Everybody have a wonderful day.